Morning and welcome to Thursday. The Today is the official release of the textured section number 3 for the Memories Blanket Cal. That is what today's live is going to be about. Hopefully, you can join us. That would be super awesome. And I am Biz from Busy Crochet, and this is my partner in
I am
crime.
Debbie from Madam Stitch.
Thank you guys for joining us here today. I do see at least one little eyeball up there. Um, all right. So we're going to be talking about my section of the pattern today, but I'm going to let Debbie take away because she's got questions to ask.
I do. I want to find out the whole schmear about this section. So we're going to start off with you're going to would love for you to describe section 3
Mhm.
and what oh gosh, well, we're off on the right foot, can't speak. What special features this particular section holds for our makers?
Alrighty. So section 3 is probably my favorite of the visual sections of the blanket, just because it is so cute right up to the rustic square that just came out on Monday. We have a first up is a plaid section, and it's that big chunky kind of buffalo plaid pattern, but it's done in different colors. So the thing that I learned, this particular pattern comes, as far as my memories are concerned, is just this last Christmas I put out the fireside blanket, Christmas blanket, and it that's a main feature in that blanket is that plaid. And I went with a buffalo plaid in that. And according to the experts, whoever those experts are, buffalo plaid is black and red, period. If you are going outside of those two colors, it is then considered gingham. So, morning, Fern, glad you're
Oh,
here. So everything pretty much that we're doing, if it's not black and red, is considered gingham. And it's the big fat buffalo plaid checks, but in a different color. So I did mine
gotcha.
in two shades of green with a sunny gold yellow in the middle. And I did have oh, that's right, we got tips and tricks. I'll bring that up later. And then so the next section after that is going to be a spike stitch section. It's a lot of single crochets. And the spike stitch is very, very simple to do. The instructions in the pattern, the way that it's written, the spike stitch number next to it tells you basically which row to go into. So we can talk about that too in the tips and tricks later. But
Yes,
that's
we
what we're doing.
definitely.
Plaid and
Yeah,
spike stitch.
I love that tidbit about buffalo plaid because knowing the specifics, is kind of like other things that in crochet that even like Xerox, it's a
Mhm.
general term now that applies to anything that's
Yeah.
copied, but it's actually a company name. And so buffalo plaid is actually the black and red, which is really cool to know. I used the plaid in my fireside throw that I did last year. It wasn't Christmas, but it was a crochet along I did last year. And that's the only thing I've used it in, but I absolutely love it. It's just
Mhm.
such a comforting look,
It is. It is.
right?
It's very popular, especially when, okay, so we see plaid kind of in the summertime picnics, that kind of stuff. And we
Right?
see plaid in the fall a lot, with plaid shirts and a flannel and all of that kind of stuff. It's real homey and cozy. And then we see plaid at Christmas. It's a very popular theme. It just has that real country feel to it. So I like plaid because to me it's a cozy, homey feel.
Mhm. Yeah, I think when we see it in the summertime, that's when we think of it as being called gingham. Because I
Hmm.
think many moons ago, when I was a younger person, gingham, everything,
Yeah.
there's gingham, make your dresses out of gingham, make everything out of gingham, and we were just wearing gingham everywhere. So I just have this mental association with it as
Mhm.
a summery kind of feel.
Yeah.
All right, Miss Biz, why did you choose these particular stitches for section 3 and what do they mean to you?
Okay, so we did talk about the plaid being part of last winter's Christmas blanket, and I love that blanket. And I knew that I wanted to use the plaid stitch in this blanket just because. it's something different to break things up. I didn't know that it was gonna be, like, my favorite part of the blanket because you know how when you're going along, you're just like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna throw this stitch in, and then I'm gonna throw this stitch," and then, when you're designing, you're, like, just trying to come up with, "What am I gonna do next?" And I used that there, and I'm not even 100% sure why I decided that the plaid was gonna go there, but I think it had something to do with the rustic squares. So, and then after that with the spike stitch is something, gosh, I put in I put in a lot of stuff because it makes an amazing Christmas tree. So I do
Mhm,
a lot of Christmas blankets. Like every year I usually put out a major Christmas blanket. And I think that this spike stitch is even in the fireside blanket from this last Christmas. So this whole section is kind of last Christmas's blanket for me.
there
Um,
you go.
I changed it up so it wouldn't look like a Christmas tree. And I used the green and gold in the plaid to kind of just give it a different feel.
Mhm,
Because it can be anything. And there have been people who have the written pattern already and have already done these sections, and the colors that they choose are just so much fun.
mhm,
But yeah, the spike stitch, that is one of those ones where I love making it, but you have to be kind of careful where you stick it in because it's an aggressive looking stitch. It's all points, there's no softness to it, it's all very jagged. So you can't just stick it in anywhere in anything. I mean, it's one
if
of
you
those
want a
ones.
soft look, this is not one that you
It's
wanna
not your
choose.
stitch, no, but it's super fun to make because you can just by changing where you put the stitches, you can change the look of it completely.
Mhm. Yeah, I've seen the spike stitch here we go, spike stitch used just on the diagonal.
Mhm.
So it looks like, almost like diagonal teeth. Um,
Mhm.
I've seen that one a lot. I thought it was interesting, and I don't think our makers know this because we've never really said this, how we designed
Mhm.
this blanket. We just did the general, "Oh, this is memories from the designs that we've done in the past." But our actual design process was kind of interesting, and we took a real chance
Yeah.
on how this blanket was gonna turn out. I
Lot of
was
trust in each
tasked with
other.
I know. I was tasked with doing the squares,
Uh-huh.
and Biz was tasked with doing the sections, and we didn't really talk to each other about what we were putting in each one, although I will
Mhm.
say, I did have my squares done so that you could kind of look at them,
Yeah.
but we really didn't have a concept for the final look. We said I would do 4 strips of squares, you would do 5 sections, and then we tie it all together with a border, and
Mhm.
then we went to work, and
Yeah.
when we both started making our blankets, we were going, "Oh my goodness, this is
Yeah.
awesome."
Yeah, it's
So
just
we
coming
really
together so pretty.
lots of trust. So, that's kind of how we came to how this blanket came to be in our design process, and I gotta say, it was pretty exciting to see it come to life, and now even more while you all are making it.
Mhm.
So, thank you very much.
This is my favorite part of it though, is watching other people do it
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
I have fun making it, but once I'm done, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ready to move on," you know? So I get to live this pattern out over and over again and enjoy everybody else's looks because
Yeah.
we do pattern colors that, "Oh, I would love to do that," or I would have
Yep.
but I don't actually wanna put my hook to it, you know what I mean? Like
Well, that's exact we talk about that in our crochet along, but
Mhm,
we love that with all of our designs. Everything we design, we have a particular concept in mind and we put it out into the universe, but
mhm.
we love getting tagged in post and seeing what colors other people have chosen because honestly, it completely changes the look, and gives other people ideas for what they can do, which is really cool.
Yeah. We've got just a couple of, comments I'm gonna bring up here. I'm super excited for this next section. Never did the spike stitch. You're gonna love it. It's one of those like it looks harder than it is stitches. Behind, but love it. Awesome, Betty. There is no such thing as behind other than the one you sit on.
Mhm.
So it's all at your pace. and we get to celebrate you at your pace, because just
Yep.
because it's a crochet along and we have a finish date, we only do that just for our bookkeeping so we're not at it till Jesus comes back. But there really is no there's no end date. You just post when you're done and we are gonna ooh and ah. We love it.
You know what? And those posts live forever on Facebook, so you can go back and see what people have asked and all of that stuff. But anyway, it's time, Biz, for us to talk about tips and tricks for this
Yeah.
particular section. So give us all the knowledge about what we need for section 3.
Okay, so here's what made my life easier. I'm just going to talk quick about the plaid section as far as changing your colors because you change your colors like every 5 to 7 stitches. I can't remember what it was exactly.
I think it's 5. Yeah.
So I put one color here and I put one color here. And then I decided that I was going to pull from the back for this one and then the other one. I never crossed, I don't put my yarn to the front. I just kept it to the back. Since my I wasn't turning I mean I was turning the work, but all right, let me gather the thought. So when I went this way, it was all to the back. When I was going this way, all of my yarn was to the front and I still just pulled it from there. I just kept everything to the like technically back side of the work,
The wrong side of the
the
fabric.
wrong side of the work, so that I was never crossing and that kept the tangles down because
Mhm.
there's nothing I hate more than having to do a lot of color changes and everything is just a ball and a knot.
Mhm. Yep.
So I just figured to drop them and keep them separate. There's that tip. Plus, the other thing that I want to suggest to you, because like a lot of people get stressed out when they have to choose colors. And the one thing that you want to remember about doing something like this, like a plaid, try to choose two colors that are in kind of the same color family. Like I chose a dark and a light green. You could choose a light and a dark blue. Or like there's another lady and I don't remember who it is, but she chose pink and orange and yellow. That's great because the pink and orange are still kind of in that same color family and then she used her yellow as her. So you're kind of
Mhm.
choosing two from one side of the color wheel and you're choosing somebody from the opposite side to be the center color. So, that's the tip as far as, like, color changing and all of that stuff and what you're going to choose for that section, and to just remove the stress. And then as far as the spike stitch, just remember that when you're going in, you're counting down the amount of rows and you're going in the hole in between the stitches, and you're going around the whole thing. You're not going in just the front or just the back. You're going around the whole thing and you pull your loop up to the top of your work so that it elongates that stitch and try to do it so that you're not yanking or pulling tight
Mhm.
and then complete your single crochet. That will give you nice spike stitches throughout and keep everything from like squishing down because if you do it too tight, it'll smash your work.
Right, and I this particular section for me had a tendency to spread out wide
Mm,
because of the spike stitches, probably because I worked them a little too loosely. So
okay.
when I pulled it up, I might have pulled up that middle stitch, which is the longest one, a little bit too high,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
it caused it to bow out on the side. So
Mhm.
just play with it a little bit to see what height you should pull those spikes
Mhm.
up so that they're all kinda even across the top.
Right. And then when you're going back through and putting because you're gonna be putting 3, single crochet rows in between each of your spike stitch sections so that you have a color to play off of, so that your
Mhm.
stitches show oh my god, show up
Wow,
so that the
this
spike
section is a tongue twister.
it is I'm
Holy
just gonna call them
cow.
spikes from now on, so that your spikes show up against the backdrop. Just as you go back through and you're working through the spike stitches, those are just treat them as regular single crochets.
Yeah,
Ugh,
yeah, those are really good tips.
oh my gosh. So
Wow,
yeah,
tongue twister central.
right?
Anyway, are there any other things that you want our makers to know before they head into section 3?
I don't think so. I think this is one of those spaces that you can kind of relax a little bit because the stitches are just I'm gonna be honest, really the rest of this blanket, the hardest part was section 2. And if you made it through section 2 or you got through section 2 somehow, the rest of this is gonna be a cakewalk. You
Well,
know,
I will say the front post squares are a little tricky in where you put the stitches.
mhm.
Um, so we'll talk about that on Monday
Yeah,
when
we'll have
that
to pay
releases,
attention to
but
that, but as
yeah,
far as,
but
like, the sections are concerned, there shouldn't be anything that really trips you up.
exactly. All right.
So, yeah, that's pretty much it. If anybody
That's
has any
it.
questions or anything like that, and then, just comment from our Facebook user, helpful for the check section. You are welcome. I hope that like makes a difference for people because um I know that color theory and color selection can be a super stressor for people. Like
Mhm.
there are people who are like, I can't move on because I can't choose. Well, maybe this will make it a little bit easier. You're like, well, I've got this and this. If especially if you're pulling from your stash, you're like, well, I love all these colors. I don't know what to put together. Well, go with what you have the most of. So
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
then all right, thank you for making me laugh today. You're welcome.
That is reason we're here. It's to make you laugh. If you haven't figured it out by now, Biz and I love to laugh together.
Yes, we
So
do.
we hope we brought just a touch of joy into your day.
Yes. Always good to start with a laugh. All right, blessings. We're gonna go ahead and say goodbye for now. We will be back tomorrow. Don't forget, we have every Friday, there's the No Crying and Crochet podcast.
Mhm.
This week we are going to be talking about, I can't remember what our subject is.
Well,
Transitional.
this month is all about spring because, that groundhog, at least in Pennsylvania, decided that spring was coming. So, we
Yeah.
need to be thinking about it. So, this week we're talking about transitional accessories, things that
Yes.
you can wear. Now, we're specifically talking about spring, but a lot of the things that I'm seeing, I'm gathering, oh gosh, it's probably going to be about 80 different examples of things out there that designers have put out for transitional stuff
Wow.
that you could use for fall too. It's kind of,
Mm,
choose a different color or something for the fall.
mhm,
But all of these things are great for transitional weather. So we're going to be talking about that, showing you tons of possibilities, giving
mhm.
you all the information about how to outfit yourself for this time of year.
And will we be highlighting other designers again this
That yeah, I'm gathering all that information right now
that's
and putting that
awesome.
all
Okay.
together. Yeah, I've got between 80 and 100
Holy
examples.
cow. That's a lot. That's amazing.
Listen, designers are super generous and they want
Yes,
you
they
to
are.
see their stuff. So,
Yes.
yeah, hopefully I'll get it all done. If I don't, we'll just show you what I have.
Yeah.
We'll
That'll
talk
be
about the
fabulous.
rest. Yeah.
Alrighty. So we'll see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern here on
Mhm.
YouTube or Facebook. There's no crying in crochet. Other than that, you guys have a great Thursday.
Bye, everybody.